Good morning, guys. How you doing? We're going to do a little bit of a video here today, a little more of a full-length kind of thing. So I want to start out by talking about the car. The car, 1955 Chevy 210, originally equipped with the 265 Power Pack option. It's long since been removed from that. She's had probably about 7 or 8 engines in it, 5 or 6 transmissions, a couple different rear differentials. This thing's been around the world and back. I'm going to put a pickup. Dad ran this as a Pro stock car back in the 60s, Island Dragway, room full of trophies. That was a long time ago as well, before I was around. So that's early 60s. At any rate, got it in 58. Dad bought it secondhand. He actually didn't buy it. He was in the Army. He was stationed in Missouri at the time, and he had a Buick that he was rolling around with, what blew up out there. So he called his dad back here on the East Coast and said, "Pops, I'm going to send you some money. I need you to go find me a car." So he sent his father $600. And this is the car his father went down and bought. He got it from a Chevy dealer in Newark. I don't know the name of it. One of the big ones back in the day. If anybody has any ideas what it is, please leave a comment and let me know. I'd be happy to take a look at that as well. He originally had this car, and he had a couple shops, and then he went off on his own, got a place in Randolph, and was doing automatic transmissions out of the place, mostly, and stick shifts as well, but it was called AT Masters, and he did well there. He did well enough to drag himself out of Newark, get him and my mom, and soon to be me, a nice little place out in Newton, New Jersey, with the money that they had scraped together. And somewhere along the line, he got really smart, and collectively, him and my mom decided to send him back to school. Went to college, got an engineering degree, wound up working for IBM for the remainder of his career, and did very well for himself. But this is more or less how the story begins, and where my part of it comes into play. Fast forward a long time in the future. There's a lot between here and then. Him and my mom got divorced. They went out on their own separate ways, and then but this was always around. But for whatever reason, my father always had something else to do, and he let it sit, and he let it sit, and he let it sit, and said it did, and rot it did. And it's a shame, but that is what it is. And here we are, we pick up the pieces. And around 2018, Pops had a heart attack. Him and I really weren't speaking a lot then, but the heart attack brought us closer. And in that time, he asked me if I would put this back together for him. And at first I was kind of kicking around the idea, and then I took a good hard look at it. There was so much wrong with it. The floors were rotted out of it. The rockers, both sides, were rotted out of it. The floor supports, which attach to the frame, both sides, front to rear, were rotted out of it. There was just so much wrong with it. There was so much bad under the hood. There was so much bad in the rear of it. The differential was out of it. The springs were shot. There was a broken spring shackle on this side. It was just completely gone. It was held in by a bolt and a door hinge. So it got into the type of situation where I had to look at it and cross-reference that against reality. What is possible here, you know? And I said to myself, okay. At the time, Dad had a place out in Pennsylvania with a reasonably sized barn. And so I said, all right, let me cut all the bad stuff out of it and see what's left. And I did that, and it was probably worse than what I thought. But I had this revelation. I was looking at my father, and I didn't know how much longer he would be around, and him and I never really saw eye to eye on much, but I thought it was my my duty as firstborn to at least give it a shot. So I took it on. Hey, what's the worst that can happen? It's no worse than it would have began, right? So we did. I took it apart. I got all the rusted stuff off, and then I started buying sheet metal, and I bought some floor panels, and I bought some rockers, and slowly but surely I welded them in. And mind you, it is not pretty. It's a Frankenstein, underneath, alongside, inside, everywhere. But it's safe. The welds are solid. It's good. I kind of learned along the way, so a lot of it's not real pretty, but it's not going anywhere. And that's really what this is all about. It's about turning something that could have been into something that can be, and the direction I'm going with it is rat rod. It's what it's going to be. It's a rat rod. Now, as of right now, it runs. There's some video of it in my history of it doing that. I'm not going to run it right now because it's 4:30 in the morning. I'm working out, getting ready for work, but I figured I'd make this video along the way. So where are we right now? Good question. The floors are welded in. The rockers are in. I put a new wiring harness in it. I got a wiring harness from Painless Wiring. The wiring harness in this thing was a fire waiting to happen. It was an old school fuse box with like 6 or 8 fuses in it, and every single wire was dry, rotten, and cracked. And I was looking at it like, okay, I could repair this here, there, here, there, here, there. But what do I make of it then? Do I drive down the road one day and all of a sudden, poof, this thing's burning away on the side of the road and I'm running for my life? I didn't want to do that. So I put the painless wiring in it. Great idea. Lots of new, modern style blade fuses, plenty of wiring that go to the back. There's power leads into the back for like power amps and things like that. So this thing it's set up for what I want to do with it. I put nice 4-core radiator in it. I've got that all set up. 1-wire alternator, Holley 650 double pumper on a mildly built 350. Runs real good. Wrap the headers. I got dual exhaust, no crossover pipe, and into 8-inch cherry bombs, which really sound cool too. What are we going to do? As you can see, there's no nose on it, so we're going to put a nose on it. We're going to put a fiberglass nose on it. I'm going to put the headlights in it, put the signals in it, hinge it so it can go up and down so we can get access to the motor, and then I'm going to cover the seats, and we're going to drive this thing. And we're going to drive it around the neighborhood, and we're going to get the bugs out of it, make sure the 4-speed shift's good, and that's pretty much all we're going to do with it up to this point. We want to get it to a point where we can rip around on this thing pretty reliably, but the first big step, I think, is getting a set of plates on it and being able to drive it around locally where we can do what we want to do. I've got other plans for it. I don't really want to say them out loud, but they're coming too. And as you can see, from the front end, yeah, it is pretty well apart. The last day I was in this right front wheel, took apart the right front drum brake, made sure it was adjusted properly, no leaks from the wheel cylinder. I had to do some small adjustments to the to the ball joint so I could get these wheels to fix, because my brother donated me these wheels and we want to keep these wheels. We want to use them. They're old 5-lug Steelies from who knows when. I think they're off of his Malibu, but I got some 235 7015 Cooper Cobra GTs on it, and it's going to drive as good as it's going to drive. So, what are we going to do? We're going to take some time in the very near future. We're going to make this thing run as a tribute to Pops. He isn't doing so great. He's in a home now because he's in the last, hurrah of life. He needs, attention, not constant attention, but enough attention where, if he falls, somebody's there for him. And if he needs something, somebody's within a, stone's throw away for him. And that's what he needs for right now. But hopefully we can have this thing running around, ripping around to the point where, he can look at it and be proud of where it started, where it went, and where it is. So that's the video for today. This is the car. Out there is the future. Back here is the past. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time, live in the 55.